All right. This is the Between Two Firms podcast, episode 2.
Wait a minute. Let's reframe this just one second.
These are good problems to have.
And what we can do with money to help our family over generations.
And working towards my entire career, I decided, you know what, I think I need to do my own thing.
And I'm like, awesome.
Electric. Well, Matt, how are you, dude?
I'm doing all right. Nick, how about you?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
You were complaining about some neck pain earlier. Is that subsided?
my enduring scoliosis neck.
Yeah.
Where every time I turn my head, it just sounds like a
I
machine
can
gun
hear
going
it from
off.
across the hall.
just metal on metal
bones. Yeah,
the sound of metal on metal contact.
It's pretty unpleasant, but
yeah. Well, we'll have to keep. I'll keep my door closed then.
it's
But
put
no,
in some
dude.
soundproofing.
Doing good. I'm really excited about the interview we did today with Katrina Kowalski. Really appreciated her coming on. I don't know about you thought. I thought, and maybe, if anybody who's listened to the first episode can disagree, but I think we're, at least on my end, I was like, okay, I'm kind of dialing this in a little bit and trying to sound a little bit less like a lizard.
Yeah, well, this is the. I'm still working on that myself. This will be the 4th episode you recorded, but the 2nd to premiere. So
yeah, that's true.
We
Right, that's
may
true.
not have mentioned the quality here goes up and then may drop back down.
And then we drop back down right as we go back in time. Yeah. So we didn't record these in the order that we were going to release them. So that is definitely true. So if people listen to this one, think, oh, okay, that was a little bit better, and then listen to the next one. Like, what on earth? This guy regressed.
Yeah.
That'll hopefully at least explain a little bit of
But
of
we
my
got some more
regression.
coming in the pipeline that we can keep dialing in. But
Keep
I thought it was
dialing
an
in.
interesting episode. I think that she had a lot of good stuff, and I think that she's got a much bigger team. There's some things that I wish that you'd asked her, that you ignored, and that I would ask her.
We need to come up with a better system. But right now, for anybody listening, our current system is I'll be on the Zoom with the guest, and Matt will take a which is on a screen share on Matt's computer. And so what Matt's been doing is taking a notepad or a note sheet on his computer, like Windows Notepad, and putting out whatever questions or things he finds interesting on that notepad, and then just like total schizo waving it around like crazy in the screen. So I'm like trying to track the game of Pong of like what I'm supposed to be asking. So we'll continue to dial in. We'll continue to dial in the system for that, so that I don't miss your questions. But
That's all right. But yeah, she's based in a pretty cool part of New Hampshire, coastal New Hampshire, which I
Big
find
coastal
cool
New
for the
Hampshire guy.
ski. Well, skiing and sailing sounds cool in the same spot.
She wasn't a skier though, which we won't
Correct.
hold against her.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But she had pretty decent sized team, and they have a lot of different roles, and they're doing a lot of different services. No bookkeeping though. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, they did a little bit of I mean, she'll talk about it, but a little bit of just kind of some cash flow forecasting and more advisory work, but yeah, does not do the actual granular in the weeds bookkeeping. All in all, had a great time talking to her. Super cool cool firm she's got. And man, the piece of my favorite thing she said that I was like, I just thought it was such a great idea. Now we'll see if it makes its way, when it makes its way, not if, but when it makes its way onto my implementation list. But was her whole thing about doing monthly, she'll explain it. But how she set up kind of a monthly FAQs
Q&A,
or
yeah.
Q&A
With
kind of
specialists.
all call for her clients. And man, I just think that's such a cool idea because the problem we're always talking
general
about.
question, good interactions with people, and it adds to kind of like your upper level service.
Yeah, No, of course, right. I think it's high value for the client, and equally as important, it's leverageable, because that's the thing we're always talking about. Is like, man, I want to provide more value to the clients, but it's hard when you only have so many hours in the day to sit on
Right.
calls with clients and
there's
provide the value yourself. Yeah.
and that
So
allows you
being
to
able
reach
to,
multiple people at the same time.
yeah, just provide some value in a group setting. So I thought that was epic. Very, very cool. And have full intentions of ripping Katrina's idea off at a
We're
later.
gonna just rename this the Ripoff
Yeah.
Podcast.
Just rip it. Just
The idea
you know,
thief.
yeah, the idea thief. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, dude, I had a great time, and hopefully you guys derive some value from it as well. And yeah, anything else, or you want to just dive into it?
Let's let you guys get into it.
All right, well, sweet. Let's do it.
Perfect. All right, there we go. Our guest today is Katrina Kowalski. Katrina is a CPA from coming to us from New Hampshire. Katrina, how are you today?
I am fabulous. It's snowing outside. I'm not sure where you are, but
Oh no, is it really? We're in North Carolina, so not a ton of snow.
Okay. Yes, it's our first big snowstorm. So everybody, it's like peaceful outside, and everybody's excited, including the kids.
That is super fun. We moved here from Alaska.
Oh gosh.
And I miss the snow. Here it snows like not even an inch, and the world stops. Like schools are if snow is in the forecast, there's no school for like 3 days. It's crazy.
So we were just talking about this. I grew up in Vermont, so not Alaska, but we had 4-wheel drive buses, and you just went to school. Like,
yeah,
that's what
right.
we did.
Right, just do it. Yeah, right. No, I'm with you. Do you do any snow sports?
No, I became a CPA, so I don't have to. So that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Very cool. Fair enough. My wife, I took my wife skiing like one time, and she was like, "I'm never doing this again." So
we had to learn when we were in elementary school. It was part of the curriculum, being in Vermont. So they would close school on Thursdays at 11 every week, as long as there was snow, and we skied. But it is not enjoyable to me. So when I started dating my husband, he was like, "Do you ski?" And I'm like, "Well, I know how to." So we met maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I joked that I got a ring, and so I don't need to ski.
I don't have to do this anymore. Right?
I
Validated.
would much rather sit by a fire and read a book.
Fair enough. No, I get that. Well, cool. We're really excited to have you on today. Like I said before we started, it should be real fun. And I've got a couple questions that I already know I want to ask you just from looking at your website and from what you gave us on kind of a little intake sheet. But before we dive into those, why don't we just start with can you give us kind of your background and how you got into accounting, and then more specifically how you got into venturing out and starting your own firm?
Yeah. So I took an accounting class in high school, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Things balance out, and like, numbers don't lie. And I'm like, I could kind of do this. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college, but accounting spoke to me, and I ended up at a business school. And then from there, I went to work at a big, I think at the time it was 5 firm, and then happened to be Arthur Andersen. If anybody remembers the Enron days, yeah, that was the firm that audited Enron. We were never told that we weren't going to have jobs, but people knew, like when your phones and your desks are being taken away, that there's not going to be a job anymore. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I like this public accounting thing. I'm out. Like, these people are crazy. And so I went and worked in the mortgage industry for 6 years. I loved what I did, but I realized there was no I in team. So I got married and went on my honeymoon and came back, and rate locks had expired and people were screaming. And I was like, what am I doing? I need to find something else to do. Crazy enough, I decided to go back to public accounting. But what I really liked was the tax side of it, which I thought I was never going to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my CPA, and I'm going to think from there. And then the reason I went in with small businesses is because at the time, my husband's been a small business owner since I've known him. He used an unlicensed tax preparer. I think it's crazy that you have to have a license to get your nails done, to cut your hair, but you don't need a license to prepare a tax return, which is insane to me. Anyway, he used somebody who was unlicensed.
Mhm.
I still believe he got some really bad advice. Didn't do anything malicious, just didn't know what he didn't know.
Sure.
It was the first year we were married and we survived. That was 20 years ago. And
Mhm.
then I just kind of out of that was like, you know what? There's more people like him. There's people that don't
Yeah.
understand where this comes from. So if I can take some anxiety out of what that means and help a business
Mhm.
owner grow, then that's awesome. Like that's my
Yeah.
favorite part.
Oh, very cool. What were you when you did when you were Big Four, Big Five? Were you doing tax there as well?
No, I thought I was never going to do tax, but
Okay.
you know what it's like to be 20 and think you know everything, right? Uh,
Sure. Sure. Still, it depends on. Some days I'm still there. Some days I'm not.
yeah,
Depends
so
on the day.
no, I got my master's degree in accounting information systems, and I loved
Okay.
the audit of information systems, not audit of accounting type
Mhm.
stuff. So I liked looking at the data and security and things like that. The problem that I found was when I went to Arthur Andersen, we could go straight into technology risk consulting, but most
Mhm.
other firms, you had to do the 3 years of audit first. And so
Gotcha.
after Andersen, I went to another Big Five, but I was auditing death certificates at a life insurance company. And I was like, if I have to do this for 3 years, this is
Yes.
awful.
That's
So,
tough. That's tough. Yeah.
so I
Okay.
went
No,
home
that
at
makes sense.
Christmas and I said to my mom, I was like, I hate this. Like, I can't
Mhm.
imagine doing this for 3 years. And she's like, so don't. And I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
mean don't? Like, I'm just going to quit my job. And she was like, there's another one out there. And so
Mhm.
I did. I went back
Yeah.
that next Monday, handed in my computer and was like, I think I'm good.
Oh
for now."
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that bold. I love it. Fortune favors the bold. That's awesome. And so okay, so then with the first time that you did tax work, was it, which is what you're doing now, was it on your own or did you have
No,
okay.
so after I got married and decided not to work in the mortgage industry anymore, I got my
Mhm.
CPA. And then I went to work at a smaller firm. It was 30 people.
Okay.
And literally I sat down and said, I have no tax experience, but I know I can do it. And I remember the guy
Yeah.
saying, really? And I was like, yeah, just give me a chance. And so he did. And I worked there for, I'm not sure how many years, but I worked there until they got bought out by a big firm. And then we went from 30 to 160. And I'm just not a
Okay.
big firm person.
Yeah,
I
sure, the
didn't like the
dynamic
merger at all.
changes. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was a lot of politics. It wasn't where I wanted to be. And so I was pregnant with our first child and on a whim found a job listing from somebody that I went to school with. She said, this is a great company to work for. It was a father-son firm. So I interviewed with them when our first daughter was 3 weeks old. And they even said, hey, you can bring your child in to the interview. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Yeah, sure. So going from 100 plus person firm to that is probably refreshing.
And so anyway, I went for the interview and I was like, oh, I probably could do this. And so it was a
Mhm.
father-son firm. I worked there for almost 10 years. I loved it. But I tell people I don't drink bourbon and I don't play golf, so I wasn't going to be a partner. I was doing all the things of being a partner, but it wasn't, you know, it, I didn't want to do that other piece. And like I said,
Sure.
I had young kids. I wanted to be home with them. I didn't want to be out
Yeah.
networking at night. So I wanted to do something where I could do it on my own. And in the
Mhm.
meantime, we had a family friend who was a CPA, and his wife kept saying, intermittently to me, hey, Mike needs a retirement plan. And I'm like, I'm not it. Thanks, though. And that was probably 3 years of her saying that. And one day on April 15th, my family was in Arizona. They had flown out early. I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. I want to do something on my own. So I reached out to Mike, the one who needed a retirement plan. I was like, so are you still thinking about retiring? And he was like, yeah, do you want to come talk to us? So I talked to him, and he had one other person who worked with him who'd worked for him for 20 years. She is now my business partner. So
Gotcha.
I had interviewed at some other places, and I knew I could do it. I knew I can talk to the clients. So I
Mhm.
wanted it to be my own. I wanted to make a place where I could do what I needed to do with my kids and be there and available on my terms.
Yeah.
whatever that meant.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And you're like you're the third person now who said the same thing about the kid piece, especially from the mom perspective of like, yeah, doing your own thing and having full control over how and the what it looks like. Yeah, it just gives you flexibility that's hard to find anywhere else.
I
Yeah.
think accounting, we do a disservice, and this is where I get up on my soapbox, but
Hmm.
as accountants, we have done a disservice to ourselves thinking that all we do is work. And that's why there's been a mass exodus. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of burned out parents that if we could just convince them to come back and show them a new way of doing things, they'd be
Sure.
great. And it's a great
Sure.
career.
Sure. No, I don't disagree. So when you met your current business partner, then did you guys buy out Mike, the retiring owner,
Not
or did you guys?
totally. So
Okay.
he really felt that he had worked hard to create a place for his clients to come and ask questions, and he didn't want to
Mhm.
sell out to somebody big. So
Mhm.
he wanted it to transfer to someone who thought a lot like he did.
Mhm.
Because Emily had worked with him for 20 years, it was a
Mhm.
good fit just so that we could transfer it over. So the plan had always been that we would work one tax season together and then we would create a partnership. Now, life happens. Nobody knew COVID was coming down the pike because this was
Okay.
2019 when we made the
Yeah.
agreement. COVID came. We were working madly to get everything done. And we were just like, you know what? This business, it's working. So let's just keep doing what we're doing and we'll figure it out. Unfortunately, his son was a pilot in the Marines and died in a training accident in 2022. So
Oh
that kind
no.
of threw our business plan all apart. And he decided, you know what? His original plan was that he was going to work until he was till 2025. And
Mhm.
he just decided, that's not really where I want to be. So we switched gears and became OnPoint in July of 2023. So it took us about a year to kind of get everything together, get the agreements, switch over the
Mhm.
clients because the name of the company was MP Lasapio. We couldn't be MP Lasapio without
Sure.
Mr. Lasapio. So, we
Sure.
had to do it.
Sure.
We had to get all of those pieces together. But other than that, it was pretty seamless. I had come on with a book of clients. Emily took a lot of his clients, and then we kind of divided out the rest.
Gotcha. And so, just out of curiosity, so that was then you said that was 2022, 23 timeframe. Okay. Um, of the clients that you inherited, do you still have most of those clients today, or?
We have a good majority. We actually just went
Yeah.
through a reorg of our own to kind of figure out what we want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all accountants here. We know what the landscape's like. There's more people retiring than coming in. And
Mhm.
I think there's a very different mindset for those of us that are younger than there was for those that are retiring. The old
Mhm.
retiring mindset is just take them, we'll figure it out, we'll get it done, we'll churn
Yeah.
and burn, January through April. And that's just not where we want to be anymore. So um, we've gone to a tiered pricing
Mhm.
that we just recently put out there. And we've also sold off a section of clients that don't fit our business looking forward. So we're doing a
Gotcha.
little bit of that reorging right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I think that's a good transition. That's kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask you. You mentioned during our little kind of intake form that one of the things you guys are working on is paring down the client list, and so I'm curious how you guys have approached that and how you've thought through making those kinds of decisions as you look at who's going to stay on the list and who's not, and then how you execute the actual paring down of the list too.
Oh my gosh, it's hard, right? It's like a breakup, a really bad breakup, where you have to keep saying, "It's me, it's not you."
Yeah.
But we went in and looked. So I think it's a couple things. One, if you have never followed Geraldine Carter, do so. She wrote an amazing book called Down to 40. Do you know that book?
Oh, yep. I've got the book on my Kindle. It's on the list. I haven't. I saw. I think I saw it somewhere and realized somebody had, or maybe I heard.
Yes.
Jason
It,
makes an
it is
apology.
off of Realize because she
Yeah.
is a contributor on the Realize community.
Gotcha.
So one, read it. Like it reads like the best business book I've ever seen. It reads like a novel, and you're just going to be sitting there like, oh my gosh, yes, that's me. Ooh, yep, I got to take that out. So we read that book, and then we kind of
Mhm.
talked about like, what do we actually like? Who do we like talking to? And it
Yeah.
all came back to business owners. We love talking to business owners. We love people whose heart and soul is their business, but they just don't know the rest of it. Like, how do you
Mhm.
put it together? How do you talk about those goals? And so the more and more we thought about it, the more and more we were like, yeah, that's where we want to be. So the first thing we did was pair off, and I won't say everybody, but the large majority is clients that just didn't have any sort of small business. So they were just a 1040 client that,
Okay.
you know, didn't have anything else going on. And so we wanted to move to this more coaching / tiered business model. And that's not what they wanted. They wanted just tax preparation. So that's where we
Mhm.
started.
Okay.
And we'll see because we're in the midst of it right now. So to be continued. But that's how we started.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that the way you've kind of done some of this is by selling a portion of the client list. Is that correct?
Yeah, and this happened totally by accident, by the way. So
Uh-huh.
we were like, okay, we just like we can't do all these clients. Like, what are we gonna
Right.
do? So we had made
Sure.
our list of who we wanted to get rid of. I did not get rid of. That sounds so horrible, but
No,
who
I know what
wasn't
you mean.
our ideal
Right.
client?
Sure.
And so we had made that list, and then I had reached out on the Realize community actually, and I was like, hey, like, how do people go about this? And I had one person reach out to, or I actually had several reach out to me and be like, if you're selling off a list, I'm happy to talk to you. So that's how the
Mhm.
conversation started. We didn't end up with a commitment from anybody from the Realize community, but that's how it started, and that's where we went. There was another person I know in the New Hampshire area who was starting up a firm, and he kept saying, why don't you sell it to me? But I didn't want to be the only one. Like, neither of us had done it before, so I didn't want to be reinventing
Right.
the wheel. And I was
Sure.
like, I don't really know how to do this. He didn't really know how to do this. But we got enough information from the Realize community that we had a contract that was good. We'd had an attorney look at it. And so we just went from there. So we're in that process right now that,
So
by,
it's live for the coming filing season is when.
yeah.
Okay.
And,
Got it.
it's a process because you have to send the letters out to the clients, and then you have to wait 90. First of all, they have to either send them back, or you wait 90 days for the whole thing to kind of work through to be able to transfer their information. So we're in the midst of that right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Well, that's very cool, and I'd be curious to maybe a year from now to hear how it goes and kind of what the AAR, the lessons learned are from it, because that's interesting. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough paring down a client list or trimming a client
Because
list
they
down.
become like, I don't want to say
Right.
family, but kind of, they share all of these things with you, right? And so many have said, oh my God, I can't believe you're dumping me. I'm like, I'm not dumping you. I'm pivoting my business. Like, like having those
Yeah,
conversations.
it's hard to separate the personal from the transaction or from the business side of it. Sure.
Right.
No, I get that, and it's tough. But anyway, I think that's super cool. So we'll see. Hopefully that's as smooth a process as possible for you guys. And like I said, I'd be curious to hear how it ends up going.
Stay tuned. Ask me in May.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that I want to circle back to the 3-tier proposals, because you mentioned that, and that's always everybody could, I could spend an hour talking about how you do that. But before we do that, looking at your stuff before we did this, the thing that stood out to me that I thought was really cool was this Q&A for clients. Like it looks like you
the
had some
monthly
type of
Q&A? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that works and how you guys execute that?
Yeah, so what we were hearing, and it all came out of, an epiphany. So I don't know about you, but my clients think I know everything, which I don't, but they reach out to me for these random things. And I'm like, oh, I have no idea. So it all came about because I have quite a few landscapers. And so in this
Okay.
political environment, they have immigrants working for them.
Sure.
And so this guy reached out to me and he's like, Katrina, I think I need an immigration attorney. And I was like, what? And then he explains the situation. He had a employee driving a company car and got pulled over. And the employee didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but he was scared because of everything that was on the news. So he ran,
Sure.
which was like the worst thing you could possibly do. So then my client's customer calls him and was like, there's now 6 police cars in my driveway, and this whole thing.
Not a
So
good,
he's like,
right, it blows up.
Wait,
Yeah.
right? It's like this whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, let me see what I can do. So I reached out to my network and I did find somebody for him. But my point was, he wasn't the only one in about a 6-week period that had reached out. His was the most out there, but
Sure.
but there was definitely others. And I was like, wait a minute, if there's one person that reaches out to me with these harebrained questions, there's other people that are probably thinking this. So how can we solve this problem? And I was like, you know what? Let's try to start a Q&A. So we started them with like, let's look at your financials. So we have a person on staff who looks at your cash flow and budgeting, if that's something you want to do, and kind of helps you figure out where your business is going and set some goals and things like that. So we had her run some financial, like reading your financial statements, knowing what they mean and why it's important. And we've had quite a few people that were like, oh my gosh, I like this. So like, what else can we do? So now we are starting with we have an HR person coming in February. Now, mind you, most of my businesses are small businesses, 7 or less employees, super small, but mighty. And they have all these rub points where they don't know what they don't know. So I was like, okay, so we have an HR person coming that can just talk about some of the pieces you need and where that goes from there. Retirement's another one that people ask me about constantly. So why not put everybody in a room and just fire away on your questions? So we're trying to come up with pieces that help people and their questions we hear frequently.
I love that. That is a big brand idea. So have you as you do this, then it's not industry specific. So you try to do kind of topic.
It is not industry specific right now.
So
Correct.
right. So it's just kind of like you said, retirement for small business owners.
I mean, we've tried to think about niching, and I don't know about you, but there's a piece of it in me that I'm just like, I'm not sure about. Like, I get it, but I really like talking to people about what their business is and what they're passionate about. So I had one woman who, she started this community. It all started as an idea because she was a young mom and she's like, I don't know, I want to learn how to surf, but I don't know anybody, because we're close to the coast. I want to learn how to surf, but I don't know anybody else who wants to learn how to surf. And so we were just talking one day and I was like, well, you could put this together as like a thing and people might come as a group. So anyway, she started that 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's a thing. People get together on I think it's an every other month basis, and she's got a membership thing. And so if I hadn't been open to the opportunity of listening to what her business idea was, I felt like I would be closed down. So I understand niching, but the farthest I've gotten to niching right now is that I want small business owners that are in a growth mindset.
That makes sense. We're maybe a little behind, but in a similar stage where we're starting to think about niching. But I'm with you. The way I kind of think about it is less like on Jason's podcast, he's constantly saying like the beekeeper thing. For me, it's more just kind of, I'm starting by identifying who's not a fit before I just say the only fit is X. So we're working along that continuum. But I'm with you. Part of me, I won't speak on your behalf, but part of like the most fun I have, I think, is just learning the ins and outs, like the game of all these different industries and how the game works in their little world. And that's the fun. At least for me, that's a lot of the fun.
No, that's 100% what I think too. Like you, I've identified what I don't want to work with, And
Sure.
we've put that out there. There's lots of CPAs that can do medical offices. I do not want to be one of those. So I
Yeah.
will put you with somebody who can do that. Attorneys aren't my niche either, and manufacturing isn't. But my husband's a carpenter and has been self-employed for years, like I said. So I seem to attract a
That's
lot of
cool.
tradespeople because I kind of know where they're at and how to talk to them. And we're a women-owned firm, so I also seem to get a lot of women business owners that want to work with women.
That makes sense. No, but I do love the idea of the Q&A launch or the monthly Q&A.
I mean, I hope more CPAs do it.
Yeah. Have you had any issues or I don't know, pushback on like people sharing their financials in a group setting?
So we don't ask them to share their financials. It's usually something pretty innocuous. Like when we're asking about looking at financial statements, we bring up a sample one and we kind of go through it. And then we encourage them to reach out if that's something that they want to do. So yes, I think there would be pushback if we really tried to drill into people's true financials. Then I think I'd get no traction.
It's like going to the doctor in a group of 10. Sure. Fair enough. So yeah, just keep it generic enough or general enough. To where nobody's sharing things they're not comfortable sharing. That makes perfect sense. And I love the idea of bringing in like an HR person, like all these adjacent kind of subject matter experts you can bring in. Yeah, we might. My teammate Matt's over here making copious notes. We may have to take a look at that. That's a cool idea. So how does that fit into? Is that something that fits into your guys' 3-tier proposals, or is that something that's available to all your clients?
No, we thought about that, but I think when you come up with the tiers, you got to come up with something that's going to make them sign up for the middle or top tier, right?
Right.
So we did not make it part of our foundation, which is our bottom tier. Our foundation tier is literally like it's not where we want people to be, but it's prepare a tax return. Don't ask us questions during the year. You get a video summary of your tax return, and that's kind of it. So
Compliance.
It's bare bones. That's what you do, then that's fine. Our middle tier then adds the Q&A in there and one planning call during the year, because I find most people want to talk to me towards the end of the year, kind of see where they're at based on where they were in April. And then our top tier is essentially that we have, I won't say unlimited access, but we'll answer you much faster. I think we answer within 24 hours if you're in the top tier, and we answer within 3 to 5 business days if we're in the middle tier. So it gives us more time to answer if we need to.
Yeah, and so that on that planning call, so when you incorporate the annual planning call, is that just is that structured in any way, or is there a deliverable tied to that, or is that just, hey, we've got this preset calendar appointment?
So I don't preset any calendar appointments. I put it out to them in October, and I basically say, here's my calendar link. If you want to book, here you go. I've tried doing it the other way where it's a pre-booked time. People don't show up. So it's in your hands. You paid for this subscription model. If you want to get there, do it. But other than that, it can be formal depending on kind of what you want in there. We're getting a lot of questions about S Corps right now. So we could incorporate that in there if that's something we want to do. But other than that, it's pretty informal. I mean, all my clients kind of want that, hey, where are we at? I want to be your cheerleader and also the person that pulls you in and is like, hey, you got to pay these taxes. Kind of in between. So this morning I had a client and she hopped on. She's been my client for years. And she starts with, Trina, I'm making a lot of money and I know this is not going to be a good call. I'm like, wait a minute. Let's reframe this just one second.
These are good problems to have.
Right? I was like, during COVID, we almost closed our doors. So let's cheer for a minute and okay, we're doing much better now. Okay, let's take a breath. And now we'll talk about the things we can do. And it's exciting, right? Because now we're not just barely making it. Now we can talk about setting up retirement plans or funding your HSA, like things that are going to help you tax-wise that you weren't able to do because there just wasn't enough money in the bank. So I'm a big proponent of meeting your client where they're at when it comes to these planning calls. And I've found over the years that give a client 3 things, they'll probably do 2 of them. Give a client 10 things, they're going to do 0 of them.
Yeah.
So
I'm learning that. Yeah. I continue to learn that, I should say.
So if we can give them 3 things and say, hey, this is what we're going to work on, then let's check in later in the year and see where you're at. And that's kind of what we broke down with her in the call this morning was, okay, you're making more money than we had planned. Not a bad thing. It just means we have to do different planning. So I think meeting them in those positions to kind of talk about that, or just a lot of what we do is psychology. I mean, we could be therapists, right? The other side of that is I have a client who's kind of winding down. She's getting towards her 60s. She's not, she was a speaker across the nation before. She's not having as many speaking engagements, but a piece of her is saying, oh my God, I'm making no money now. I'm like, no, it's not that you're not making money. You're making less money because you made a choice not to travel as much. Like, this is okay. We just have to kind of shift things around. So I think talking to people and understanding their rub and how you can make it less anxiety producing is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that's an amazing job we have.
I agree. And you're right that I think part of it is, I don't know if you've had the same experience, but the positive feedback we get in our business is seldom tied to the actual accounting work. And is often tied, to the relationship or to the responsiveness or to the vibe, the general vibe, more than any specific deliverable or outcome. And I like to think that we do a good job on the actual deliverables and outcomes, but the client, a lot of the time, at least I feel that the clients, just based on the questions that were given and stuff, that the clients don't. The easiest way for the client to evaluate what they're getting isn't necessarily the deliverable. It's
I agree, and I think that's something I learned at that firm I was at, the father-son firm, when my daughters were little, because they did everything face to face, pre-COVID. But a client would sit down. I met with 80% of our clients in person, just desk to desk, right? And we had all sorts of clients. I mean, there was one, and I still remember. I love her to this day. She's not my client anymore, but she was a salesperson, and the first time she came in, she almost had a heart attack with how much she owed because it was commission based, right? So her commissions were all over the place, and she almost had a heart attack. And then the second year, a little bit better, but not so much. By the third year, she came in with a smile on her face. She said, Katrina, I don't even care what you tell me. I have a bottle of wine on ice, and it's going to be okay. And I was like, okay. It's going to be okay. Yeah. So getting them to the point where it can be like, it's going to be okay. It's like, we've got this. That's what I want.
Yeah. So going back real quick then to your tiers, when you do these annual calls, they're informal. There's no set deliverable, and there's no. Are they client driven, or do you guys have an agenda or a kind of list of things that you try to hit?
I don't have a list. They're mostly client driven because I know who my clients are. So it's like going back through, generally when we talk to them sometime during tax season, I kind of feel them out as to what they want their year to be. If they're saying, hey, my mom's sick and I'm just going to survive this year. Okay. Then that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to assume that everything's going to be roughly the same, which is a way different than someone saying, I'm growing this year and this is my goal. And you're like, oh, if that's your goal, then we need to stay on top of these books a little bit more and make sure that you're meeting those parameters. And if you're not, that we're kind of digging it out. So it's very personalized in that way. I'm not my business partner is a much better systems person than I am, admittedly. She might have a list, but I'm not. I'm very much like see where it goes and go from there. And then after that conversation, I usually write them out an email that just summarizes what we talked about and what the goals are, but nothing more than that. usually.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I like that idea because we do our on our tax tiers we'll do we on our middle tier we call it quick questions, and the client has year-round access for quick questions, and sometimes those quick questions turn out to not be so quick and they turn into we'll set up a call or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the idea of obviously we still want to be there for the clients, but I'm a big systems person, and I like being able to bucket things neatly, and I like the idea of being able to say, look, we have an annual touch point that's locked in that we're gonna or we're doing it on a quarterly basis, or just having something for planning purposes. Okay, and then you said your top tier. What was the difference between your middle and your top?
Access to us. So
Okay,
the
so
top
just
tier
response time
gets
and
2 to 3 calls if they want them, so quarterly
okay,
essentially.
okay,
And
gotcha,
we'll respond to them within 24 hours of whenever they submit a question. So
gotcha.
it's not a ton more,
Mm-hmm.
but
Sure, right.
if you're
I
in that
gotcha.
growth mindset and you know you're going to knock it out of the park that year and you need to like have those quarterly calls, then that's where you want to be, because then I'm going to stay on top of your QuickBooks more. Now,
Right.
I don't do any bookkeeping, nor do I want to, but I can see your QuickBooks and
Mm-hmm.
look at the reports and make sure we're staying on top of it.
Yeah. Your guys' firm doesn't do any bookkeeping.
No,
No. Okay. Okay.
no,
Gotcha.
we don't want to. So we have one person who does cash flow and budgeting,
Okay.
more like helping people analyze their financials and setting
Mm-hmm.
goals, which is almost like business coaching. Like I have a client who takes advantage of that. And when we broke it down, we were like, so you got to make $17,000 a month. She's growing. She just started her business. And she's like, I can't make $17,000 a month. And we're like, well, you're kind of already doing it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, 4 out of the last 7 months, you've hit that number. So it's really not
Right.
that much of a stretch. And she
Sure.
was like, oh, well, when you think of it that way, and, I just talked
Yeah.
to her last week and she was like, you know what? I'm blowing that number out of the water. And I was like, that's amazing.
There you go.
Like, that's
Yeah.
what we
Right.
want.
Right.
So when you break it down at those little goals, I think they get it better.
Yeah. And so when you guys do that your cash flow and that kind of more advisory or I guess it's all advisory, but the more cash advisory, is that baked into your tax proposals, or are those separate
That's a
services?
separate one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our business strategies packages. So those are a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more depending on kind of
Gotcha.
where you're at. And then we have the tax packages.
Gotcha. Okay. So when a new client or prospective client comes to you, you have the 3 tiers, and then there's also tiers on the. Okay. Gotcha. So
Yes.
there's 2 sets of proposals. Okay, that makes sense. That's similar to what we do. Cool. Do on the cast side of things, do you and your partner in your guys' business, do you and your partner manage all the client relationships, or do
At
other folks
this,
have calls?
we manage the tax relationships. So the reason
Okay.
we brought the CAS on was A, I had clients that kept saying, I want this piece. And B, there was this person I knew out in our networking world who had her own company, Joanna. She's on our website now. She had her own
Mhm.
company. She had her second child and then had some health issues and was like, you know what? I don't actually want to do the selling piece of it. I just want to do the meat and potatoes, the actual
Yeah.
work. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, well, I could do the selling piece. So
Mhm.
we kind of talked back and forth. And so we're building out her side of the practice, but she handles all of that. So I don't want to do
Gotcha.
cash flow and budgeting. I want to do
Sure.
tax and tax planning. And
Right.
so if someone signs up for those packages, Joanna handles all of the cash flow budgeting, and then we take on the tax and tax prep. Now, that being said, we have one other CPA. Anybody who was foundation level, so our bottom compliance level, we have moved
Mhm.
just to Sarah, who is our other CPA. And so it's kind of, we're just trying to figure out how to divide and conquer at this
Yeah.
point, but to build Sarah up in a way so that she can take on some of those other clients coming down
Mhm.
the pike, but we're not there yet.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Um, And you said Pike, which is funny. That's very northeast, very northeast. I caught that. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. How big is y'all's team right now?
We have 7. So
7.
we
Okay.
are an all women's firm.
Mhm.
Man, if somebody wants to come in here as a male figure and work for us, no problem. But we have not found somebody who wants to do that yet. So we are a team of working moms,
Yeah.
which means most of us are on between 8 and 3, depending on when kids have to be picked up and what goes on.
Gotcha.
We will get emails out at 5 a.m., but you generally don't hear from us between 2 and 6 or whenever our kids are at whatever activities they're at. So
No, that's super cool. It's all remote then. Everything's virtual or remote, or do you guys have an
we do have a
office?
physical office, and some staff want to come in, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not required. I have 2 100% remote employees.
Okay.
One I've only met in person once.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other ones, sometimes we do want to get out of our house and not be around, but
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Yeah, I've got young kids, and we did the fully remote thing for about a year, and I was like, I can't. It was good to come back to the office. It depends on the day. It's nice to have the
depends on the
option.
day. So right now, everybody's home in my house because it's a snow day, so
Woo.
they had early release. That's not my favorite. I like when everybody goes to school, and I've got
Yeah.
like a solid 6 hours, just me and the
Yeah.
dog.
That's fair. That's funny. Oh, right on. No, and that's cool. I mean, I don't know, because we are not a 7-person all women firm, but I have to.
How many people are in your firm?
We're 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but I feel like it'd be cool. That probably creates some cool culture and some unique team buy-in. That maybe is a little different than.
I
I don't know.
agree, but I also think that's what makes us intimidating.
Yeah. I get that when you said you haven't had a guy come join. I'm like, well, I could see that. But I mean, that's okay. It's been so I came before accounting. I was in the Army. I was an infantry
Okay.
officer in the Army, and obviously that's a very male dominated world. And one of the things that's been interesting to me, this is kind of a complete pivot, but one of the things that's been very interesting to me coming into accounting for the last few years is, and maybe part of it is being exposed more to kind of the younger accounting crowd. I think just on we keep talking about Jason stats on Realize, and there's other communities, but I think that probably tends to be the younger folks.
Yep.
But I've been very surprised by how, I don't want to say heavily female, because I don't think it's disproportional, but it's much more. There's much more of a female presence than I'd expected. I don't know.
Which is funny because there isn't a ton of us. I think there's more of us that might be innovative, but if you look at for older CPAs, there's not a lot of women. And when I came into it, I was the last firm I worked for. Let's see, there was, I'm not sure how many, 7 CPAs. I'm not sure how many other people there were. We did 5,500 tax returns, and there was only 2 women.
Oh my gosh.
So we were very heavily male dominated.
Yeah. I like I said, we've had you're the 4th guest we've had as we've started doing these, and 3 of the 4 are kind of similar. The being a mom and wanting the flexibility to build that kind of into your work life was in 3 of the 4 stories so far. And so I find that interesting. I think that's cool that by doing your own firm, and especially I think in the cloud accounting or the remote kind of environment, you can make it whatever you want, and you can make it.
You can. You know, it's funny because
flexibility.
when my kids were little, my husband did all the stuff between January and April 15th. Like I was just not in the
'cause you
house.
were
I was
just
not
right.
available. Like,
Grind
and that's
time.
kind of the way it worked. And I never understood
Yeah.
when somebody said, your kids are going to need you when you're older. Don't stay home when they're young. And I'm like, what? But if I'm not here when they come home from school, they're like, where were you? Like, what? They don't necessarily care, except that I'm sitting in my seat. They don't
Sure.
need to like have anything. They just
Sure.
want a presence home. So, you know, it makes it so that I can do the things I want to do. My old mentor from the father-son firm I was at, the one thing he said was, I made it to every game. It didn't matter what it took. And I was like, that is
Yeah.
where I want to be. And so
Yeah.
he said he was notorious for working 7 days a week. He's the old, you know, he's 75. You work and you just like grind
Felt
and you get it
different.
done. But he was saying when his daughter played basketball, he's like, and the games were on Saturdays and Sundays, that was my first priority. And
Go to
so that really spoke very much to me and where I wanted to be.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure. And like I said, it's been it's a recurring theme. I everybody we've had on so far, we ask them like, well, why did you get out and decide to do your own thing? Nobody has said, at least not as the primary motivator, has said compensation or a career opportunity. It's all been I don't want to say the work-life balance, but yeah, just the flexibility.
No, it is.
Flexibility. Yeah. And so
And I
anyway,
think
I find that very interesting.
it's very prevalent. I think if you've ever talked to any millennials or Gen Z where they're like, well, you work 12 weeks, like 60 hours a week. It's okay. Like you don't work
Yeah,
a
but
lot in
it's
July
different
and June and July. And they just look at
Right.
you with this odd look on their face, like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not what I want.
I don't
And
want
to
to do
me,
that. Yeah.
you know, when I said I don't ski because I became a CPA, I hate skiing, but I'd love to be on the lake in July. So to
Yeah.
me, it worked out the right way, but that's not for
Yeah.
everybody. So I think there's
Sure.
more and more talk about moving this in a way that everybody can have some sort of work-life balance,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
that means to them.
Right. Right. No, I totally agree. What about, so what, as you guys look at this next year and you're navigating this kind of reshaping the client list, what's next for your guys' firm? Like what direction are you going, and what kind of goals do you have for the coming year?
Well, number one, we're implementing a practice management system. So there's your
Oh.
systems right there.
Woo. Well, are you guys using one right now, or you guys are gonna be coming in fresh to using one?
No, it's been like piecing things together. So
Yeah.
we are going with Count.
Okay.
It's a lot to build out. And so
Yeah.
it hopefully is going live in the next 3 weeks.
Very exciting.
So that's pretty cool. And then just honing in more on the clients we want. I would love to add a little business coaching piece to our tiers for those
Mhm.
that kind of want that cheerleader and like some accountability. I don't know what it looks like yet. And I promised my business partner that I would not make any more changes until May of 2026. So.
Fair. Yeah, don't you don't want to shake everything up right before it starts. Sure. That
Well,
makes sense.
she's the systems person and I'm the visionary. So,
Gotcha.
you know, she does so much of that back end stuff. That's why it makes us good business partners. I joke that I don't know how to do payroll. I can figure it out if I needed to, but like
if push comes to shove, yeah.
right, like if something happened to her, I could do it, but
Yeah.
it's not. And she's the one that comes up with our budget and tells me what we can spend and things like that. And so those aren't the things I want to do. I like talking with clients. I like getting out and networking. I like talking on podcasts. So I want to keep doing those kind of things and getting the word out there. I would love to have another CPA that's motivated and wants more work-life balance, but I haven't found that person yet. If the right person comes along, that's kind of where we'd be at.
Yeah.
So we're taking a little bit of a breather and seeing where we get in tax season. We made a lot of changes between the practice management system, the tiered pricing. We're doing an upload day. I don't know what you guys do to get your tax information in, but we're going to do an upload day that's not tiered. What's the word? Graduated. So every week there's a certain amount of people that'll have an upload day and we'll work on tax returns that way.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
putting all those three things into place is enough.
How are
for
you
this
doing
tax
the intake of documents? So people, is it all going to be in your portal? Are you having people drop things off? How does that work?
season? No, since COVID, we are almost exclusively virtual with a portal. I mean,
Okay.
you can't get rid of those few elderly people that just can't do it
Sure.
and
Sure.
want to drop stuff off. But I would say 90% of our clients will upload to the
It's all-
portal.
Okay.
And then we have a client excellence person. We're coming up with a title for her. We haven't come up with it yet, but
yeah, we call it
Lindsay,
customer or client success. We call it client.
yeah, something like that. So she
Yeah.
mans the portal. She makes sure your stuff's uploaded. She makes sure that like it's ready to go to the
Yeah.
person to kind of look at it. And she mans that, and she's a great gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Like if your stuff's not there, she is not budging. Like
Yep.
so,
Yeah, no,
where
I
I'd be
think-
like, okay, we'll try to make it work.
Yeah, right. Having that person, we filled that role after this past tax season, and so I'm very excited to do a tax season with that role filled, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Oh my gosh, so much. And she
being
does
able
all our
to-
e-filing too. So I don't know about you guys,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
hate e-filing. I want
And what
to print a
system are you
tax return
guys-
and be done. I'm sorry?
what tax prep software are you guys using?
We use UltraTax.
Okay, right on. Yeah, so she just handles all the e-filing and you're done. Yeah.
She makes sure
nice.
things are signed. She goes after people when they haven't signed. So it's just such a time saver to not have to chase those kind of things.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, very cool. And you just have one person doing that kind of admin client.
Yeah, we have one
success
other
or-
admin person, but she does more like the in-office stuff. Anybody who comes in and wants to drop off, wants to answer phones, she takes in the few checks we still gets the mail.
Gotcha.
But no, Lindsay does all the client
The
portal.
client hustling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Yeah. No. Like I said, it's a crucial role, and it's I worked at a smaller 25 or so person firm, and it was right after the Army, and it was incredible to me. They didn't have that. They had one admin. They had two admins.
Oh my gosh.
They had two admins for 25 people, creating tax returns. It was just crazy. I'm like, you got the partners doing stuff, and I'm like, you could probably hire like a college kid to do that for $20 an hour or less, you know? And yeah, so I don't. I feel like I kind of was saying earlier, that the kind of younger, or not, I keep saying younger, but the online community type crowd, I think, is, from what I see, is has leaned into the admin thing, but I don't know. To me, it's such an obvious unlock, you know?
Right. Well, it's interesting. So we just came back from the New England Practice Management Conference that they hold every year, and it's New England, right? So it's a bunch of accountants. There's, I don't know, somewhere between 200 and 300 people there. And one of the first sessions, you have to walk around to different tables and get to know other people, right? And so 3 years ago when we started going, there was a lot of almost retired CPAs there. There's not as many now, and you can definitely see the change coming. But anyway, I sat down at the table in this first session doing the exercise, and this guy was like, I don't do anything online. I print everything out. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I'm not sure I have anything to talk about with you.
This is a totally different, right. No, that's fair.
It's a totally different mindset. And I'm like, how do you keep track of everything? So I think
right here.
that's changing, and there's a lot more innovative people out there, which is amazing to see. I would say when I came into this field 15 years ago, there was no networking for CPAs. Like that wasn't a thing, and you didn't talk to other CPAs about what you did.
Yeah, right. Because I'm sure, you know, when you're in an environment where the folks you know are all local, it's probably harder to get out of a competitive mindset versus being in a cooperative mindset. And that's one of the things I've enjoyed so much about the different online communities, and part of why we decided to do this, just because it's fun to get to know other folks in the space and hear what they're doing and what's working and what's not. And and be able to compare notes and not just exist in a little vacuum,
Yeah,
wondering
I
if,
agree.
if we're doing this right or not. Yeah. Um, you know, well, very cool. What about, so I got one more kind of line of questioning for you. Your partnership structure. Are you, if you don't mind me asking, are you and your partner, are you guys 50-50 partners?
We are.
Okay.
I bring in more of the billing, but like I said, she's the brains behind the matter and she's much more
Mm-hmm.
technical. So
Gotcha.
to me, that's worth everything
Sure.
because I'd have to hire
Mm-hmm.
an office manager anyway. And I think
Yeah.
having somebody else to bounce ideas off of is priceless. So I
Yeah.
never wanted to be in business by myself because
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody I can talk through ideas with. And we talk through ideas, oh my gosh, 3 or 4 times a week, usually. Like, hey,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? Like, what would you do with this situation? So it brings in a lot more camaraderie and like working together. So yes, we are 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me. I mean, maybe down the road, if we wanted to, we could reevaluate, but right now it's fine with
Right.
me.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's kind of I'm curious. So in ours, it's just me. But I'm curious about in the partnership structure, kind of how, what kind of best practices or just what recommendations you would have for somebody looking to get into a partnership kind of arrangement to make sure that you're doing it right and setting your best foot forward and not maybe falling into potential kind of pitfalls.
Hire an attorney that's going to talk through all the pieces with you. So
Mm-hmm.
they're just things you wouldn't even think about. You know,
Sure.
Emily's a little bit older than I am. So she's very forthright with saying she's in this for 10 years and then
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't know what she wants to do after that. I
Right.
can work with that, right? But that means that I'm probably here longer. So I need to figure out what that means when she wants to exit. So having an attorney
Right.
talk through those pieces with us and figuring
Mm-hmm.
out where we would be. And just from a business standpoint, seeing some of my businesses that fail that are partnerships because they haven't talked through these things and then they have an
Yeah.
argument and then it's
Yeah.
like done.
Right.
So just
Not
being
ideal.
clear from the beginning. Right. Being clear
Yeah.
from the beginning, you know, kind of what you think and where you want to be.
Yeah. No, and that makes perfect sense. It's true that, you see it. I mean, like you said, we see some of these kind of situations and setups, and yeah, again, that's part of the fun of it. Is just seeing all the different ways people set things up and the dynamics, and every business has its own unique kind of structure and setup and internal dynamics. But it's interesting to me, and I feel like I don't know. Like I said, the firm I worked at before was kind of the traditional partner model, but I was never, you don't see behind that wall or that curtain, see kind of how the dynamics play out. And so, yeah, I think that's fair advice though, is get a professional and structure it right from the get-go and save yourself some problems later. Yeah. So fair.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So that's kind of it for all the major questions and topics. We've got a couple of kind of closeout questions that we've been asking everybody.
Go for it.
Same quick questions that we can dive through. So you already kind of hit this one, or maybe you did. I don't know. I won't speak for you. But what is your favorite business book?
So I'm not a good business book reader, but if you've not followed Morgan Howell, I think his name is. Hold on, I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
He wrote 2 books. One called The Psychology of Money, which sounds boring, but it is.
I've heard of that one.
Read it. Read it. It's basically 12 to 15 short stories. And so the first story talks about a man from Vermont who he lived in a trailer. When he passed away, he had millions of dollars in his account. And the point was they went back and saw, and he just put a little bit away every single month, and he was religious about it. And so that's how it starts, but it also goes into like what happens when you get greedy and like what your downfall can be. And so they're all little stories about those kind of things. He wrote another book called Same as Ever, which is also amazing. And it talks about all these different situations in history that if somebody hadn't strove to be better, we wouldn't be where we are. And so
Sure.
it's kind of cool to see. So I don't know that you call them business books because I'm not a huge business book reader. It's funny. My husband likes reading self-help and nonfiction books, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge reader, but I'm a fiction reader most of the time.
Fiction. Well, what's your favorite? The bonus question. What's your favorite fiction book or author?
Oh, there's so many right now. So
Yeah, it's
my most recent, it was called The Last Thing They Surrender by Leonard Pitts. That one was very good. But in the last year, I would say All the Colors of the Dark was amazing. I mean, if I wasn't a CPA, I'd own a bookstore, but that doesn't make as much money. So here I am.
No, I saw that on your website. I thought that was funny. Fair enough. You can never be too well read. So I think that's I'll have to. We have the recording. I'll have to play it back and add them to the Kindle list. So, what is one system or tool that you just couldn't run your firm without?
I wouldn't call it a system, but if I did not have Lindsay, my assistant, I would not be able to do what I do. So
Sure.
she came on by accident. She was a client / had worked for a client of mine, and
Okay.
he was selling the business, and we were closing up the books, and I said, "Hey, what's Lindsay doing?" And he said, "I don't know. She's kind of lost right now." And 2 days later, I get a text saying, "Hey," it happened to be her dad. "Hey, my dad says you're looking for somebody to work with you." And I was like, "That is not what I said, but okay." And I said, "Well, I don't even know what that would look like." And
That's
she
funny.
said, "I don't care." She's like, "We're
Yeah.
going to figure it out." And so ever since then, we've just figured it out together. And
That's fun.
to me, that's indispensable.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Like we said before, I'm with you. We have our client success rep. I'm with you. It's kind of a I don't like saying admin, but
Right.
but
We need another
we've tried to
word.
come up with we're trying to but then they're all too long. So yeah. Marissa, it's been an absolute game changer, and like you said, indispensable role for sure. So that's a good answer. What about do you have any events or conferences, or what events or conferences are you planning on going to in the next year?
So we always go to the New England Practice Management Conference. I find that that's the best one in my area.
Mhm.
We haven't done a lot of other ones yet. I'm heavily involved with the Massachusetts Society of CPAs just because I think they do a great job for the size that they are. I haven't tried any of the national ones, and if anybody has any suggestions, like, go for it. But I feel like at this point, being in communities like Jason's or Geraldine's, my business partners in Geraldine's community, gives me some ideas and some community.
Yeah.
I'd not really have to go anywhere.
Fair. What are your hobbies?
Reading, taking my 11-year-old to numerous dance classes. She dances 6 days a week. So we spend a lot of time at dance. And we have a lake house. So when it is not snowing out, we spend a lot of time in the summer up there.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. Do you do any fishing?
Not really. I'm more
No.
I mean, we can, but yeah, not my thing.
Fair enough. Well, cool. So, last question, kind of closeout question. Where can people go to connect with you or find out more about you?
So our website, onpointnh.com, or LinkedIn, it's Katrina Kowalski. Those are the two biggest places that we are right now.
Perfect.
I'm not an Instagram girl yet.
I'm with you. And for me, Instagram is purely for meme content. I don't do anything.
I agree. It is not for professional content.
Yeah, I don't do anything professional on Instagram. Yeah, I'm with you. I probably shouldn't say that, but it is what it is. Well, cool. Katrina, it's an absolute pleasure chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit. Thank you so much for taking the time and to
This is awesome.
come on
This
and
was
do
fun.
this. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And again, this is kind of the point, just getting to know as many folks as we can and cherry pick all your good ideas. We're like I said, I love the monthly client lunch. So that as we're thinking through our 3-tier proposals as we come into doing renewals here in the next few weeks, and I have a sneaking suspicion that might make the list of
Well,
what
I'm
makes
always
it on there.
happy to have you reach out to me and bounce some ideas off.
No, for sure. Well, same here. So thank you so much for taking the time. It was a pleasure meeting you. Enjoy the rest of your snow day. I'll be jealous, and yeah, hopefully we'll keep in touch and chat again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was our show with Katrina Kowalski. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and derived some value from it. Like I said, kind of in our intro, I really love her idea about the weekly Q&A with the clients, and
I think it might have been monthly.
Or sorry, that's what I meant. We don't want to do it weekly. Terrible idea. Doing it weekly, terrible idea. Terrible idea. Monthly. Monthly is big brain. So yeah, I love that idea. Can't wait to rip it off. So
she had a lot of good book recommendations as well. She said if she wasn't an accountant, that she'd be a bookstore owner. So we probably could have had a separate discussion just about her book recommendations. But definitely,
I did, and I added down to 40. Down to 40 is I had heard about it somewhere else, and downloaded it on my Kindle. And as soon as she said it as like one of her favorite books, I was instantly reminded that I had committed to reading this book and failed.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to hit like a certain threshold of recommendations before it finally
it makes it forces it. Yeah. So I took a break from business books and have been reading The River Monsters guy. I don't know if you've ever seen River Monsters.
No.
Okay.
The TV show on
the crazy British guy. He's like a knockoff Bear Grylls who goes out and just catches big fish. It's kind of goofy. Yeah. that guy. I've been reading his book. Interesting, but I need to get back to no, not much I can take from that and apply to accounting. So
directly
down to 40. Will be next on the list. But yeah, had a great time chatting with Katrina. Hopefully, again, you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please do us a favor and drop us a comment, like the show, or share it with somebody else who's running an accounting firm. And if you got feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. You can leave us a comment wherever you're listening, or shoot us an email, which will drop our email down in the show notes. So anything else, Matt?
Follow us. Plan to put out these videos weekly if we haven't said that already. And thanks for tuning in.
Sweet. Well, we'll see you on the next one.